Today, we're breaking down the 2026 Chicago Cubs. And I'm going to say it right now. The Cubs are the NL Central frontrunners this year. And they might be built to not only win the division, but make a deep playoff run in 2026. Yes, they lost Kyle Tucker. That's a massive bat to replace. But when you zoom out and look at this roster, the depth, the pitching, the versatility, the mix of veterans and young talent, this team is pretty loaded. Can the young stars and Cade Horton and Pete Crow Armstrong become perennial all-stars? Can young players like Ballesteros, Alcantara, Matt Shaw take the next step? Let's get into it and take a deeper dive into the 2026 Chicago Cubs. When you look around the NL Central, there's no clear absolute juggernaut. The Cubs, though, they might be the most complete team in the division. Quite simply, they've got multiple starters that are easily a number 2 or 3 on any team in the major leagues. They have Gold Glove defense up the middle and all over the place. They have power throughout the lineup and bullpen depth for days. Even after losing Kyle Tucker, this roster isn't thin anymore. And that's what wins divisions. So let's talk the rotation initially and really kind of see why they're the favorites. Baseball really starts with pitching. Now, realistically, when healthy at the top is Justin Steele. He's, in my eyes, a legit frontline starter, a lefty, who sets the tone every fifth day. Now, yes, he is going to miss a portion of this season and will more than likely be on the at least 15-day DL, but possibly 60-day, as he's recovering from UCL surgery. But in my eyes, he's great. Shota Imanaga, another lefty who's proven that he can dominate big league hitters with command and deception. He's the number 2. Honestly, I don't think he gets enough credit. Matthew Boyd. Well, he's had an up and down career, had major injuries over the past several years, but he was a first-time All-Star in 2025. Now, I personally tend to doubt he'll recover that and basically be the same guy in 2026, but he's proven to be a solid starter over his 10 years in the majors. That's a few of the better left-handed starters in all of baseball right there. Now, Jameson Taillon, he might be their 5th guy in the rotation. A 1.3 WAR, 11 wins, 3.68 ERA in his 23 starts this past year. He's a guy that can fill in for a team. This might be his last year on the roster, but he's proven to be a solid pitcher. Colin Rea, also a solid year. In 27 starts, had a 3.95 ERA in 2025, 11 wins. He might not necessarily be a guy you want to depend on every 5 days, but he's absolutely capable. Then they have guys like Javier Assad. He's been good. Ben Brown, he's another swing, could start in a pinch kind of guy. Jordan Wicks as well. So they have pieces. They've got arm talent. But then there's also the big addition to this team, Edward Cabrera. Adding Edward Cabrera gives this rotation something it really didn't have before in my eyes. A high-octane right-hander. if he stays healthy, which is absolutely a plausible big issue for this team, his swing and miss arsenal gives them a legit playoff caliber arm. He doesn't necessarily have to be the ace, he just has to be electric. Now, they did get rid of one of the best prospects in all of baseball. That's true. So I think it's a solid deal for both the Marlins and the Cubs. But this team's just about there to crack into the World Series. That move alone raises the ceiling of this staff and this team. But then there's also another guy, Cade Horton. He's not just another guy, he's the X factor for this year. If he takes another leap in 2026 and becomes what many have thought he can be, a true number one guy, this rotation goes from solid to absolutely dangerous in October. And that's a massive storyline. I think he'll get there, personally. I think he's an ace. Just needs to stay healthy, and I think he's their guy. Now, to the bullpen. The bullpen is deep. Daniel Palencia, the closer, to start the year for sure. 2.91 ERA this past year, 22 saves, 10.4 Ks per 9. He's quite solid. I mean, they've got Hunter Harvey. He's one of the better setup guys, truthfully, over the past so many years, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So he might not necessarily be a setup guy for this team, but he's every bit capable. That's for sure. Porter Hodge, a once temporary closer for the Cubs in 2024, has great swing and miss stuff. Not necessarily the best control, but if he can get back to his peak, he's a valuable piece. Hoby Milner, acquired and signed from the Rangers. Not dominant. Absolutely shows consistency. Has a career 3.82 ERA. Had a 3.84 in 2025. Another solid piece and good lefty. Caleb Thielbar, another lefty, re-signed. Had a great 2025, a 2.64 ERA. He's pretty darn good. And you got Jack Neely as well. He might probably start in AAA. Probably be their closer if I had to guess, but has swing and miss stuff. Just doesn't throw enough strikes. That's if he can throw strikes, he's a back end guy. Without a doubt. Got Jacob Webb, also coming over from the Rangers. Got a 3.0 ERA in 2025 and 55 appearances. Another solid piece. Ethan Roberts, a guy who's still lingering on this team. Not necessarily the first guy that I expect to be DFA'd, but he could be. But he's shown arm talent for sure. Ryan Rollison. He's a lefty, a once top 100 prospect. Injuries and inefficiency has really hindered his career. Probably the first candidate to be DFA'd if they find someone else. I don't expect him to stay on the team personally, but he's got arm talent, that's for sure. Luke Little. Look at all these lefties. And 39 appearances so far in his major league career, 2.8 ERA. Also minimal control, however. One of the worst control pitchers in all of baseball. But if he can throw strikes, my goodness. And Gavin Hollowell. Mostly a depth piece at this point in his career, but he's solid. And yes, they do have another very good reliever in Shelby Miller. Now, to be clear, he's signed a 2-year deal. He's going to miss all of 2026, but it's a long-term play to keep stability in the bullpen for 2027. He's been one of the better relievers in recent memory. And then let's not forget the big veteran addition to the bullpen. Phil Maton. He's exactly the type of move contenders make. He's reliable. He throws strikes. He handles high leverage innings. You can add him to an already pretty solid and deep bullpen, and you've got matchup flexibility in the late innings. So these Cubs have power arms. They've got lefties. They've got experience. That's how you close out division races. So let's look at the lineup here. Now, yes, as I mentioned, losing Kyle Tucker hurts. But look at the core here. Kyle Tucker is a middle of the bat order. So, big issue there. What do? The Cubs didn't sit back. They made a huge move. Alex Bregman is a major addition. Maybe not necessarily as good of a hitter, but his addition is massive. He's a multiple-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner, postseason tested, and he'll still put up elite production. Had a 3.5 WAR, 18 home runs this past year, 821 OPS. He helps stabilize the infield, lengthens the lineup, brings the October experience that they'll need. That's the kind of addition that secures playoff spots. Now in the middle of the diamond, they've got multiple Gold Glovers. Nico Hoerner, 6.2 WAR this past year. Gold Glove, just about every year. Nearly a 300 hitter. Might not get the credit he should deserve because he doesn't have too much pop, but easily a top 3 second baseman in all baseball. Probably just behind Ketel Marte. Then you got Dansby Swanson. He's got elite defense as well. Hit 24 home runs, 77 RBIs. He's good. I think some Cubs fans might not be too pleased with his initial contract and output, but he's been very good for them. Very solid. Now, Pete Crow Armstrong's also part of the middle of the diamond. Wow, he was great in 2025. 6.0 WAR, 31 home runs, 35 stolen bases. Ridiculous defensive ability here. Now, if he can keep the bat on the ball, get closer to 280 consistently, absolute perennial all-star, without a doubt. Without an absolute doubt. Can he take the step? I'm not quite sure just yet. Might take another couple year or two, but he's going to be among the best center fielder in all of baseball. Michael Busch, he's a problem in a good way. 34 home runs, 90 RBIs, 4.6 WAR, 866 OPS. He's become a legitimate middle-of-the-order bat. Kind of left-handed power that balances this lineup pretty well. Then you got Ian Happ. Not necessarily flashy, not really great at anything per se, but he's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in all baseball. I think the Cubs have given him a little too much crap, to be honest with you. They just have. I mean, year in, year out, he's been solid. Not sure why you're complaining on, but needs to perform in the postseason. Seiya Suzuki gives you another great bat. 30 home run power here. Not necessarily flashy, not a great defensive outfielder. Absolutely reliable. And reliable, once again, helps you win divisions. They're catchers. Carson Kelly put a 3.6 WAR, 17 home runs. Kind of came out of nowhere, really. In my eyes, he was barely he was a backup catcher. Barely top 50, but he's proven me wrong, that's for sure. Miguel Amaya hit 281, 814 OPS in limited action. Can he stay healthy? He's got some issues there. And Moises Ballesteros, small sample, hit 298 though. Ridiculous 868 OPS. He's quite possibly becoming, one of the best offensive catchers in baseball. That could change the ceiling of this team. He's a talent you need to watch. He could be the everyday DH at the same time, but I think they need to get him at least 500 at-bats this year, regardless of who they got. So, let's talk about some of these things. Is Cade Horton going to be the guy? As I mentioned, he is. He's at bare minimum a number 2 starter. I think he's going to be the guy in number 1. Ballesteros, as I mentioned just a moment ago, I think he proves to be a stud. Now, somebody I haven't necessarily mentioned yet, really, Matt Shaw. I don't think he's going to be the guy that everybody once thought he was. Sure, he should be able to hit with some consistency, but he doesn't necessarily have the pop. Solid defender. I could see him as a trade piece, actually. But could he start at right field? Could he get some at-bats in right field? He's going to need to. Their infield's too solid. Swanson, Horner, Bregman. Where's he going to play? Alcantara. Another top prospect. Tool for days. Now, I think his capability is going to depend on how many at-bats he gets. So, but I think he's got the talent too. These Cubs and players taking the next steps are just going to more and more guarantee they win the division. Now, guess what? They're also a legitimate NL contender. All the depth on this team wins a lot of games in 162 games. They have so many 3+ WAR players in the lineup. The defense is incredible. The roster itself is built for the long haul. Sure, injuries happen, slumps happen, but depth keeps you afloat. And the Cubs have it everywhere. So, my final prediction for the Cubs in 2026. No, they're not perfect. Do they miss the Kyle Tucker at bat and in the lineup? Sure. Yeah, he struggled last year, but he changed games. But between the addition of Alex Bregman, the upside of Edward Cabrera and bullpen stability of Phil Maton, the breakout potential of multiple guys on this team, and the core of Horner, Swanson, Bush, Suzuki, PCA, the Cubs look like the most complete team in the NL Central and an absolute lock to make the playoffs to me. I see them winning the division. I see them comfortably making the playoffs with about 93, 94 wins. And once again, if the core levels up, this team, outside of the Dodgers, are the front runner. Could they overtake them? Sure. But don't be shocked if this team is playing deep into October. But what do you think? Leave a comment below. Please leave a like. Are the Cubs the clear NL Central favorites? Or is there another team ready to knock them off? Are the Brewers still top of the division? Any chance for the Pirates or Reds, Cardinals? Leave your thoughts below. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. Look out for the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.